Hello, welcome to Rough Cut Film Review. This is a review of The Amazing Spider-Man, and I apologise it's extremely late, but I've just seen it on Blu-ray. So, The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man in general is a character I've not really understood why people get so excited about him. I think he's a bit sort of two-dimensional, but, you know, I've been assured by lots of cleverer people than I that he's a very interesting character. So then we had, very recently, we had the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi trilogy. And actually, I thought the first one was fine. The second one was a good film. I thought that was a very good film, actually. But the third one, Raimi tried to do too much. He tried to put too many baddies in there, too many set pieces, and the whole thing just ended up looking like a pop video. It wasn't actually a narrative piece of cinema. It didn't work as a consequence. Now, as I understand it, all three made actually good amounts of money, so they worked in the box office. We've got another reboot of this series in that this is now the origin story over again. So stepping in, instead of Tobey Maguire, who, I was never 100% sold on Tobey Maguire, I've got to be perfectly honest. Presumably he's way too old to be doing this sort of shenanigans now. We've got a new chap, Andrew Garfield, who's half British, half American, but raised in the UK. He is Spider-Man, and we've got the very good, always a very good Emma Stone, who's very quickly building a really good reputation for herself as the sort of love interest. So Garfield, I've not seen him in anything else before, to my knowledge, but he is really good. He's a very fine actor. He's very likeable, which is really, really important. And as I've said, Emma Stone is as likeable as ever. This one is directed by Mark Webber, who, looking at CV, it's really not great. He directed 500 Days of Summer, and as I can see, some pop videos, but there's really not a great deal there to write home about. Now, the baddie in this one is played by Rhys Ifans, the Welsh actor. And I keep, throughout his career, actually, a few times I've changed my mind about him because he either seems to be good in something or really bad. And he's so inconsistent, and there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to which one he'll be good in and which one he won't. There is an issue with the baddie here in that, firstly, there's a CGI, but I'll go on to that. But we've had some recently, in the last few years, since the last sort of Spider-Man films, we've had some really good superhero films with some really charismatic characters in them, whether they're good or bad. They're really great. So, I mean, just recently, all right, I love the new Batman films, but there was Bane and there was Catwoman, and these characters are absolutely brilliant. It's very difficult to have that sort of mad scientist thing, give that shtick, because it's just not good enough anymore, to be perfectly honest. It's really stale, it's really outdated, and quite frankly, we could do without it. The CGI looks naff. I mean, it looks anything from Spider-Man in his suit, swinging around, and presumably this is why they brought Mark Webber in, because all that kind of stuff with some fast music playing, that the high octane web slinging stuff. I'm not interested in that stuff. That's not good. We then have lots of fighting with the lizard. Yeah, the lizard, and they're fighting each other, and it's all CGI, and it looks really naff. The lizard looks pretty poor, and all that stuff just looks so incredibly stale. Also, I mean, it's a common theme with Stan Lee's stuff. It's chock full of really ponderous, plodding and toe-curling, cheesy lines from these characters. The older characters have always got to preach on about, giving life lessons, and there's this really sort of clunky dialogue. It's all that stuff, with great power comes great responsibility, but we've heard that so many times and in so many different things, and done a lot better than this. So that's all dated. It's not profound, and there's a lot worse ones as well. I mean, there's certain characters, and it's sort of signposted throughout. You can say, okay, that character is going to say something that the kids find incredibly profound. You really can see it coming, and it's not good. Also, I'm really fed up with Hollywood getting, actors and actresses who are well into their 20s and get them playing high school students. It's just, can we please drop that now? It's just ridiculous. I mean, they must be turning American high schools into an absolute nightmare because they expect everyone to be fully grown with beards and muscles, and I mean, it's just a joke. And then those sort of scenes where Emma Stone is in her room with her dad, and her dad, quite frankly, could probably be her boyfriend, really. He's not so old because, of course, they want him to look handsome as well. And she's sort of, oh, don't come in here, Dad. I'm doing, young girl stuff. And you think, well, really? All right, okay. We're doing this again, are we? So, again, the film's too long. CGI scenes in New York, I mean, they just go on and on. They're fine, I mean, I don't think the director's necessarily done a particularly bad job with them. It's just very boring very quickly. It's a simple story, and it should be simply told. Why is this film 2 hours 10 minutes? Oh, good Lord! I mean, and it's just because we have so much web slinging. Unfortunately, less is more. And maybe Mark Webber has attended the Michael Bay School of Filmmaking. I'm not sure, but I wasn't tremendously impressed. Having said all that, and there are lots about this film that really don't work. Clunky, just not particularly interesting, but there is stuff that there to like, and a lot of it comes down to the fact that the main characters are very likable, and that does save them a lot. And a lot of the early stuff, the origin story itself, was engaging and it done a lot better, I thought, than the first films, the Tobey Maguire ones. But it's, and actually when he's sort of wailing on thugs and protecting the innocent early on, I was engaged and enjoying myself. It was when he sort of put the suit on that I really just started to lose interest, and it was trying my patience. Martin Sheen's in there as the uncle, and he does a great job. He's great fun, and he's got some really, really ripe, there's a camembert, somehow it's fallen down the back of the sofa, next to the radiator. So the stench of the cheese is incredible, but he actually sort of pulls it off. And if you were to read the words that he's saying, you think, oh my Lord, how do they expect anyone to swallow this? But to a certain extent, he pulls it off. He's very, very good in the role. Emma Stone, yeah, she is very likeable, but her role doesn't give her much to do. She's the sort of cliched teen, but attractive. So there we are, really. I mean, there's not a great deal more to say about it. Oh, the other thing was, I can't remember the guy's name, but the chap who was in The Life of Pi, who played Pi Patel as an adult when he's, recanting the story. Now, he's in this as sort of an evil executive, and a couple of times he says Richard Parker, and I'm sure that was the name of the tiger in The Life of Pi, and there was a really weird moment there where you were, what? Richard Parker, and actually that was one of the most exciting. The trouble is, it's all Stanley source material is so dated, and there's clearly a lot of people that think it's really fun and interesting, but you see what they've done with Batman. Again, a character I don't think is particularly interesting, but you look the dark ways he's been interpreted and taken by very clever people, that when you see Spiderman and a bit of frothy silliness, it doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it. The baddie isn't complicated enough. There isn't enough of interest here. And they've tried to sort of cover for that by just having lots of spectacular web slinging. But the trouble is, it all looks CGI, and you get bored of it very quickly. So, Garfield's really good. Stone's fine. Sheen's good. The director does an okay job. But there needs to be more. Post Christopher Nolan, there needs to be more, and there isn't. So, if you see this film just thinking it'll be a bit of frothy fun, you probably won't be too disappointed. But for a big budget film, they get things wrong, even in regards to the CGI. It just doesn't look good enough. So whether they were trying to do too much with the budget, I don't know, but I wasn't impressed. Overall, I mean, I don't actually think, I mean, I know this sounds like I'm being incredibly negative. I didn't think that negatively of it. In general, and particularly in the first sort of 40 minutes, I thought, this isn't bad, because Garfield is really good. But when you start to lose those elements, when he puts the mask on, it then falls down into just silly CGI that looks terrible. So here we go. There we are. I mean, at the risk of repeating myself, I'll call it a day there. So, kind regards, Christopher Thomas.